Just what is the perfect golf bag setup for mid to high handicap golfers? Hi everyone, my name's James Robinson and welcome back to Get Good at Golf. On this channel, we aim to help you get good at golf Monday right through to Friday. Guys, if you want bonus content, if you want meetups, if you want extra giveaways, make sure you do check out our membership over on Sunday Club. That is where you do get bonus content every single Sunday, and that is in the link in the description below. But we're going to kick things off today with the driver. Just what is the perfect driver setup for a mid to high handicap golfer? Now, I've got a Ping G430 driver here, and for me that is one of the best, kind of most forgiving drivers so far of 2023. Now, there are more drivers on the market than this, but there's a few things about this one which I think is a really good piece of technology for mid to high handicap golfers. You'll see that I've got the more forgiving version, I've got the G430 Max. This isn't the SFT, because this video isn't designed for people who primarily just have a slice. This is designed to be the best setup for everybody. I've actually got it with more loft on as well. So this is 12 degrees. I've lofted it down ever so slightly. But what that does is it just allows you to hit the ball a little bit straighter. Your spin axis is a little bit more neutral, which means you're not going to have as much side spin or curvature on this ball. I've also got it in a slightly shorter shaft here. And a lot of people might wonder, James, why would I want a driver with a shorter shaft? Because that's going to not have the correct club head speed. It's not going to allow me to get the most distance. And funnily enough, guys, when it comes to mid to high handicap golf and lowering your handicap, yes, you want to squeeze as much out there as possible with the driver, but distance isn't everything. It's more about keeping this ball in play. And actually, you might be surprised that generally, if you hit the middle of this face more often, like I've just done there, yes, your club head speed might well be down, but the rest of your numbers might actually be up. You might get more ball speed because it's more consistently out the face. You might get a better spin rate, again, because it's more consistently out the middle of the face. And you might hit more fairways because, again, it's more consistently out of the middle of the face. So that's why, for me, this kind of driver setup would help massively. Now, guys, there's quite a few other drivers here that you can test. So I was actually a big fan of the TaylorMade Clear Premier range. Yes, that is in brackets ladies range, but I don't think that's true. I think that's just a really good driver for people who want a forgiving driver. And we also have TaylorMade Stealth 2 HD. There's loads of different drivers from different brands. I'm not going to go through all of them. Callaway Paradigm X, very similar to the G430 Max, although you don't have, oh, you do have, sorry. No, you don't have a movable weight in there, that's right. You have a movable weight in the Paradigm, the standard one, that one, third one. And finally, you can see very similar weight tracks there. On both of them, I do like the idea of having a movable weight track on a driver, but also such as, where is it? It's not that one, it's not that one.
The Max is there.
The Max. So again, big weight at the back there, 12 grams, just to kind of move centre of gravity back in that driver and enhance MOI. So lots of really good forgiving drivers on the market this year in 2023. Which one is best for you? Who knows? You'd have to come and get fitted for one, but certainly a little bit more loft, a little bit shorter shaft length might well help you creep down into that mid-handicap, even low handicap range. So once you've got your driver sorted, what other club do you need? So you're probably going to need a fairway wood. And for me, again, we're not going to focus too much on brands here because there's so many good fairway woods out here. But one of the ones I have to show you is this. It's a TaylorMade Stealth 2 HD fairway wood. Tell me a little bit about this, Chris, about the loft and what you would anticipate a 3-wood to be.
Yeah, so a 3-wood there, we can see that it's a little bit more lofted. So 16 degrees straight away there. We normally see them down at probably 14 degrees.
14, even 13 and a half sometimes now, definitely. And what this actually allows you to do, guys, so it's a slightly bigger head. If Chris comes and shows you this head surface area, it is a massive 3-wood. It looks absolutely huge. It looks almost like a mini driver. And again, that is designed just to help you get the ultimate amount of forgiveness possible out of this club. It's also a little bit offset, so it maybe does kind of blend itself a little bit to people who hit it right, but loads of technology in there, a little bit more loft, nice big head size. And for me, that's certainly something which, if you are looking for a new fairway wood as a mid-handicap golfer, something that you would want in the bag. Another lovely high ball flight. The big thing so far about the clubs that I've spoken about is just the ease of getting the ball up in the air. There's nothing more frustrating being a high handicap or a mid-handicap golfer than not seeing that ball get above the clouds and go down the fairway. So we've looked at driver, we've looked at 3-wood. Another club you could look at is a 7-wood. I know Chris is a huge fan of a 7-wood. I actually tested the new Callaway Heavenwood the other day and really enjoyed it. Very, very forgiving. Ball goes nice and high easily. But also, if you have that ability to be versatile with it and take loft off dynamically, can be a really cool tool for you to have in your golf bag in 2023. Now, if you don't go 7-wood, the obvious option is a hybrid, but what hybrid do you go for? You see, I'm a huge fan of this. This is the Titleist TSR1 hybrids. This is a new one that's come on the market quite recently. And one of the big things about this is, look at the size of it. It's really big, it's really clunky. It almost looks like a fairway would, but it is obviously a hybrid. Now, again, we're going on a kind of similar pattern here that if I look at that head size, it is massive all the way back. So that CG is pushed back, which means it's going to have a little bit more MOI, which means it's going to be a little bit more forgiving. You can see the size of that weight in the back here. Again, this is quite a forgiving club. It's going to be something which, if you're not comfortable hitting a normal everyday hybrid, then you will be a bit more comfortable hitting this. Again, this is something with more loft on it. This is actually the loft of a 5-iron, so if you want to have a hybrid in your bag instead of a long iron, this is something which could really, really help you just hit more greens from distance, maybe hit more par 3s. You can see that it's got 23 degrees of loft. The beauty about these is you do get that adjustability as well. So we've looked at the kind of the woods there, we've looked at the top end, or the business end as I like to call them. I'm going to throw one more club in here for you guys to have a look at. Then Chris is going to talk through what he thinks is his business end and what probably is the real business end of the golf bag. So if we're looking irons, I think long irons wise you want something quite forgiving. This is an Apex DCB. I'm a huge fan of the Callaway Apexes. I do prefer them a little bit to the Paradigm and Paradigm X's. I like that they're their own kind of sub-brand. They're not just a kind of distant relative of the driver and the fairways and the hybrids having the same name. I actually like that they are totally different. This is the DCB, so it's a dual cavity back, or the deep cavity back, should I say. A little bit more forgiving than the standard Apex, and I think it's a really, really good option for anyone who is that kind of high to mid handicap trying to get lower. Plenty of offset on here, nice thick top line. I've actually gone for a graphite shaft as well. This is something which me and Chris have tested quite a lot, and I'm a huge fan of graphite shafts in irons. Graphite shafts aren't what they used to be. They're a lot more lightweight, they're a lot more technical, and you can get some really, really good numbers using graphite shafts. This thing looks so easy to launch. And that has gone arrow straight as well. That was gorgeous. And the beauty about modern day forgiving irons is they still feel quite good. Right guys, I've discussed driver, I've discussed 3-wood, hybrid, and even the top end of the bag with the irons. Now time for Chris to discuss entirely what can lower your scores.
So once we've talked about the DCB irons that James has just mentioned there, when it comes to the scoring irons, so when we're looking probably 150 yards in where we're trying to hit the ball close, trying to give ourselves chances, we want to think potentially about getting maybe a combo set. So the DCB irons are obviously stronger lofted, but when it comes down to the shorter end of the game, we might go for something like the standard Apex. So slightly different lofts, slightly weaker lofts, but then you can have a little bit more control on your distancing. We start to see with irons such as the DCBs, they might fly a little bit too far, they might come off too hot, and you don't have as much control around the greens. Obviously there is other irons such as, obviously we have the Apex Pros, where we start to get obviously even more precise and a little bit of a different feel down lower in the bag, and that's all dependent on where your strike pattern is. Obviously with the Apexes we're still going to get some forgiveness on the off-centered hits. We are going to have off-centered hits. We're still going to get the same kind of distance, but once we've got the irons sorted, we need to think about wedges. And wedges aren't just a case of, okay, I need to buy 56, 60 maybe, and
same brand as my irons just to match the set.
Exactly the same. We need to think about what it matches in with your set. So again, if you have a strong lofted pitching wedge, which is maybe 44 or 43, we might be looking at something like a 48 degree wedge. So we're adding another wedge in there before we then go to a 52, and maybe a 56 might be your highest wedge. So you've got to see what you are comfortable with, and this is all dependent on obviously how confident you are around the greens, how versatile you are, and then we need to talk about what kind of grind, what kind of bounce. Obviously we've got multiple different bounces on here, so we've got obviously an 8 degree bounce, a 12, a 10, sometimes we can get down to a 4, we don't have one of those in here, and again, different widths of the sole, that's going to affect obviously the grind, so what kind of interaction you're going to have with the turf. So plenty of options there, but you need to think about what kind of golf course you're playing. Mid-handicap golfer, you might go with something with a lot of bounce, but then you also need to think if you've got bunkers that don't have much sand in, we also might need a low bounce option. So it's matching that in, but you can get those fitted, and that's a massive part of the game. How many times you're chipping a round of golf, the same as when we talk about putting, these need to be fitted to suit your game and suit the golf course you can play. If you play links golf more, totally different to playing a parkland course. We're going to get different grass, we're going to need different bouncers to suit you. When we move on to putters, obviously the biggest thing that people say when you are a mid to high handicap golfer, instantly, whenever you speak to anyone, they will tell you you need something nice and big, something nice and forgiving, big MOI, something that is going to help you have a little bit of confidence. But a lot of people say they're not so fond of that kind of shape. They prefer something such as a more like a blade style putter. So this one now is more of a double wide, so again a putter that is a little bit bigger than a blade. Again, it's all about how you look down at the golf ball and what you prefer to see. So if you prefer to see something like a blade, if I grab this one here, again we can test that, we can go for a fitting, but the main thing when we go for a fitting is when I get over this golf ball, whether I use a line or not, can I come in here, can I aim that putter straight, can I get the ball on line consistently, and can I get hole in putts. If we can't aim the putter correctly, we're never going to start the ball on line. If we can't start the ball on line, it's going to be very difficult to hold putts. So you might need something such as something a little bit bigger, but we've got multiple options now. You look at the TaylorMade, for example, we've got more of a half moon look, not as big. And then we'll also see, as James pans down there, we've got some Odyssey 2 balls, we've got all sorts of putters there.
The Versa, especially for alignment, if you struggle with alignment, the Versas are great, and the new TaylorMades as well with, I mean, look at that, you can't fail to align that, can you?
No, and that's it, you've got to find out what putter aims the best for you. If we can aim correctly to start with, we're off to a great start with putting, but it doesn't instantly mean you need to go to something big. You need to find what suits you. A blade putter could suit you. If you're a mid-handicapper, low handicapper, it's all about personal preference, and at the end of the day, what performs the best. So guys, that's an insight into what we think you could use, obviously in a mid-handicap or even a lower handicap or a high handicap bag to help you improve your game and get good at golf.
Push to open.